Boardroom hopefuls arrived with the support of well-wishers, but first there were some tough financial questions to be dealt with. When asked why the accounts appeared to show players were being paid out of next year's earnings, Chief Executive Ian Burnett said it wasn't so, but in the end, the club's auditors stepped up to give the final word. Two new board members, Steve Burriston and Lindsay Trotter, joined the group photo for the new board. Coach of the under-19s, Burriston won his spot on the platform of retaining talented youngsters and questioning recent sponsorship deals. But he's playing down any thoughts that he'll be a rogue director. For re-elected Chairman Michael Hill, the result proved his popularity with members, but balancing the books next season may prove to be his best performance yet.
Reports reveal that we made a profit. We had a cash flow problem when the Optus money didn't come through, but we've paid our players and we pay our way.
Gerard signoed one council approval for a steel strapping plant in Shell Harbour on the south coast, but lost the public relations battle. Cessnock Council last night approved a similar development application for Western, with hardly any fanfare.
Well, this plant is to Shell Harbour's loss and it's our gain. It's the greatest Christmas present that Curry and Western could ever have. It means 40 jobs on site, plus up to 15 other jobs in support industries.
The American company is just glad to find a home for its 24 hours a day, $20 million operation.
We wanted to find a location that would welcome us and a location that was best for us for our long-term development. And Weston is the site.
Jobs, money and new opportunities. The Mayor says it's all great. But what about environmental concerns that caused passions to run so high amongst Shell Harbour residents?
Well, our council processed the development application in the correct manner. We're extremely comfortable with the plant coming here. We have no concerns about the pollution or emissions.
Construction of the plant is due to begin in February, and 10 months of work should see the first steel strapping rolling out in time for Christmas next year. David McElwain, NBN News. Black cats mean bad luck to some, but not the Harrises. In the early hours this morning, their cat Sabbath woke them up, alerting them that the house was burning down.
If it hadn't been for them coming in, we probably would have still stayed asleep.
After he jumped on Garley, he come and attacked me and woke me up, and I jumped up.
Bill could see traces of smoke in the bedroom, but he soon found out the rest of the house was engulfed in flames.
When I did get up, there was only a little bit of smoke in the room, and when I opened the door, it just hit me like you wouldn't believe.
The blast of, smoke and heat and flames all come flying through into the bedroom. And the only thing we could do was get out the window.
Sabbath went first, thrown straight out before the Harrises made their escape. Today, most of their possessions are gone. Firefighters told them the fire could have started from a cigarette left smouldering, or even faulty lights on their Christmas tree. Either way, Saturday will be tough.
It won't be Christmas now. There's nothing to have Christmas with.
We'll make the best of it.
I've still got the kids, and they understand. I'll get them something later.
This year, the Hockey Roos added the Champions Trophy to Olympic and Commonwealth titles, and the Hunters' Shelley Andrews played a part in the lot. But at the moment, she's back home for Christmas and enjoying her first summer since the Atlanta Games without requiring knee surgery.
It's quite refreshing actually because, for the first time I've been able to get fit, and I think it's probably the best time that it could happen because it's a year out from the Olympics.
The national women's hockey team is rated one of the most successful sporting sides in Australian history, recently even earning recognition from our cricket mad PM. But now another challenge awaits, gold on home soil at the 2000 Games.
There's always teams like the Dutch and the Koreans who are always watching what we're doing now, and they're certainly catching up, so it can be anyone's gold medal in the end, but certainly Australia will be in there.
Shelley heads back to Perth on Sunday to continue her Olympic preparations.
It's been 3 weeks since Mission Australia set up their giving tree in Charlestown Square, and already the public have donated more than 500 gifts for less fortunate families.
Hunter's generosity has been exceptional, as always, and people in the Hunter region have certainly been very generous in the gifts that they've given this year.
And just like everyone else, the kids receiving the gifts have to wait until tomorrow before unwrapping the generous donations. The gifts will be handed out at Civic Park in a lunchtime ceremony, which after 5 years has become a kind of tradition.
It's a great opportunity to get people together on Christmas Day that may normally be shut in or at home or alone, homeless or disadvantaged, to try and bring them together in the spirit of Christmas.
And today was the last chance shoppers had to show their festive spirit. Presents are being gathered up this afternoon for tomorrow's special lunch.
We usually get a few hundred people together, and we expect that that'll be the case tomorrow.
Adam Harper, NBN News.
There's never a good time of year to lose your possessions, but for it to happen on Christmas Eve seems especially cruel. Just before 8 o'clock this morning, fire crews from Cessnock, Kersley and Bellbird were called to the Harris Street house after a blaze broke out in a back room. Despite their best efforts, a third of the building sustained severe fire damage. The elderly occupant escaped injury, while a fireman wasn't so lucky. The Cessnock station officer suffered leg injuries after tripping over a hose. Neighbours eventually did their bit to restore the Christmas spirit by bringing the woman a hamper. The blaze is being investigated, but it's not believed to be suspicious. Meanwhile, a toddler was taken to Cessnock Hospital this morning suffering minor burns after a television caught fire in a house at Kitchener. Colin Baldwin, NBN News.
The jolly man in the red suit cast aside his sleigh in Newcastle, opting instead for a red truck to help him spread the Christmas cheer. Joined by a crew of trusty helpers from the Windale Fire Station, Santa visited local streets, tossing nearly 5,000 bags of lollies to the children. The merry troop wove in and out of Windale, showering all with treats. Santa had already paid a visit to other homes in the region, children digging deep into stockings to find their treasures. But for some, the day was all a bit overrated. Meanwhile, joyful strains filled Newcastle's Christchurch Cathedral, churchgoers celebrating 2,000 years of Christianity. While Christmas celebrates the birth of Christ, church services also remembered people living in trouble spots around the world this festive season. Enjoying a turkey lunch were hundreds of disadvantaged people in Newcastle's Civic Park, Mission Australia making sure no one missed out on the food or the entertainment. Similar scenes at Tamworth Showground. Lots of smiles from those enjoying a free meal prepared by some generous locals. 50 helpers have been planning the feast all week, and they didn't forget to send Santa an invitation. Up north, revellers added a touch in Byron Bay. Santa riding a surfboard, pulled along by his team of bottlenose dolphins. Twinkling lights in Ballina's Trinity Street lured hundreds, all keen to get a glimpse. Meanwhile, the jolly man got into the swing of things. Santa's helpers offered treats, remembering the joy of giving this festive season.
Hitman Justy, Norman and Al were the apple of their owner's eye today. They woke him as his weatherboard house in Millfield Street, Millfield, caught fire at around 1:30 this morning.
They heard scratching on the door and just a bit of noise, a bit of crying and a little bit of a bark, nothing major, too loud because they're pretty quiet dogs. But yeah, and then I could see the fire on the other side. It's a glass smoking door.
Scott credits his 4 beloved dogs with saving his life.
I thank them for being here, that's for sure.
2 rooms in the house were extensively damaged by fire. The rest of the house suffered smoke and water damage. Luckily, 2 fire brigades from Paxton and Bellbird responded just minutes after the alarm was raised, saving the house from destruction.
I'd like to thank the fire brigade, they were fantastic, and all the local people, because within minutes there were people coming from everywhere.
It's still unclear just what started the fire. Investigations into the blaze are continuing. Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
The 29-year-old rider lost control of his machine on a left-hand bend in the road at Georgetown. Just after 7 o'clock last night, police say his machine crossed onto the wrong side of the road and into the path of an oncoming car. The man from Georgetown was rushed to hospital by ambulance, but pronounced dead on arrival. His name has not been released. Investigations into the exact cause of the crash are continuing. Meanwhile, for the most part, police say motorists in the Hunter region are taking safety seriously this festive season, a result of an increased police presence for Operation Safe Arrival.
So far, in a nutshell, it would be an improved effort. Obviously, we'd like to see less people booked and less people caught for breaking the speed limits and seatbelts and other road rules, but overall it's a better improvement at this point in time.
But the results speak for themselves. In the last 3 days, police have conducted more than 2,500 random breath tests, leading to 19 drink driving charges. During the same period, there have been 22 crashes, resulting in 1 death and leaving 10 people injured. As for speeding, nearly 400 motorists have been charged, while another 450 have been captured by speed cameras. So while Operation Safe Arrival is a good monitor of road safety, the police say that the buck stops with individual drivers. Adam Harper, NBN News.
It's the biggest night of the year on the harbour foreshore, and with skies predicted to clear, this year is likely to be the biggest yet. Newcastle Council will spend $30,000 lighting up the city sky at midnight on Friday, this year cutting the 9 o'clock family display.
No fireworks at 9 o'clock because of the program that's going through from 7:30 p.m. until midnight, and because of the special year it is this year.
Instead, there'll be a program of activities including bands and short films being shown on the foreshore from 7:30.
We've also got a thing called the Imagination Market, which is where people can come and make a hat or get involved in cartooning workshops or get their face painted, etc., get sort of decked out for the festivities. And we have resolution and regret sculptures in the Frog Pond, which are being animated by Hands On Dance.
Wharf Road will be closed from 6 a.m. Friday till 6 a.m. Saturday, along with some other closures in the East End. But public transport will operate till 4:30 Saturday morning. The Queen's Wharf Brewery is charging $25 entry and is expecting 5,000 patrons on the night.
An increase of 1,000 people on prior years. We've had the service of NES security with 60 staff this year with security. We don't anticipate any problems, but we're well prepared for anything that may eventuate.
Entry to the Mercury Hotel will set you back $45. Paul Lobb, NBN News.
Confusion reigned, no one sure where the fuel had escaped from, but firefighters were worried about where it would end up.
Well, the major concern we have up around this area, around Port Stephens, is the oyster leases themselves and preventing any contamination whatsoever.
The pungent smell from the drain under Mandowi Road identified the likely source as the Williamtown Air Base. Fixed booms were quickly placed across the rising creek to contain the spill, which stretched for 1.5 kilometres when firefighters arrived, but the light aviation fuel proved difficult to collect. Members of the Air Force Fire Service say they've searched the base but haven't been able to locate the source of any leaks, and that while ever the rain keeps falling, the situation keeps getting worse. A floating boom was brought in to help control the spill. The fixed version couldn't cope with the water level being affected by more than just rain.
We've got other problems that we have to look at as far as the tidal flow. We may have to boom it as the tide comes in so that any further spill doesn't go back out with a low tide.
Williamtown Air Base is currently in a period of reduced activities, and personnel have been called back to help identify the source of the leak. The Air Force says it will continue working with the Fire Brigade and the Environmental Protection Authority to control the spill. Drink driving is normally related to the nation's roadways, but police have a message for everyone taking their boat out on New Year's Eve.
Be careful. If you draw our attention to you, we will put the skipper on the breathalyser, and it's 05, commercial vessels are 02.
There were fears that police launches would be taken from Newcastle and Lake Macquarie to work in Sydney on New Year's Eve, but that problem has been solved.
The vessel was in Sydney, the Foster, has been repaired. That has been repaired. Sydney are using that vessel on the New Year's Eve.
The main launches will operate at Lake Macquarie and Newcastle, but police will be working with the waterways to ensure all areas are covered.
For Port Stephens, we have 2 police launches, 2 waterways launches. 1 waterways launches with a police officer. A water police officer will be looking after the Moyle Lakes up around Legs Camp, Bulladoola.
"29-year-old Rosati La Palma faced Maitland Local Court this morning, charged with the sexual assault and murder of his former de facto's 5-year-old daughter, as well as kidnapping. It followed his arrest at a train station in Newcastle late yesterday. Police alerted to his whereabouts by the girl's distraught mother. In a police brief tendered to the court, it was alleged the young girl was sexually assaulted, strangled by a rope tied around her neck and thrown from the balcony of her Cabarita Beach home. The 26-year-old mother of 3 told police she was forced to drive at knife point with her 2 other children and watch as the girl's body was dumped at a rural property at Brunswick Heads. She said she only managed to escape with her young family hours later from a Bulladoola petrol station, driving away when La Palma went to pay for the fuel, and relaying the story to police from this nearby farmhouse. The 29-year-old Penrith man was refused bail during his brief court appearance. Police brief describing him as a single man who lived a nomadic-style existence with fears that he may flee the country if granted bail. Defence lawyer Peter Cleaves told the court that while he wouldn't make an application for bail today, his client denied much of what was alleged about him. The matter has now been adjourned to Lismore Local Court next Wednesday. Helen Kapalos, NBN News.
Forget the weather. Breakers Stadium has long been an ominous road trip for any NSL club, and Sunday should prove no different. On a 6-game unbeaten streak, Lee Sterry's team has more than matched some of the NSL's glamour clubs in recent weeks. Now it comes up against cellar dweller Sydney United.
Where they are on the position on the table doesn't belie how good they can play football. They're a good Croatian side. They've got a lot of skill around the park, and we'll give them the respect they deserve.
Brad Widgerek won't be playing. A casualty of the Carlton clash earlier in the week, the midfielder's knee injury sidelining him for at least this match. That opens the door for Chris Tancheski.
You want to be out there the whole 90, and do what you can and bust your choppers more or less. But yeah, I mean, it's good to start. It's the best feeling out there in national anthem. In front of all the Novocastrians, and it should be good.
The teenager will play a supportive role to strikers Andy Harper and John Bonavolia in his first top-grade start for the season, something he wants to make a habit of.
Yeah, it is, man. I mean, it's always hard off the bench, but after a while, you get a bit of match fitness under your belt coming off, and hopefully I can do a job for the side.
And another teenager, Luke Tomic, steps up to the vacant spot on the bench after spending time recovering from his knee injury.
Feels strong, feels 100%, so yeah, I'm keen to get back into it.
Good news on the other wounded players, with Mark Wilson and Todd McManus both right to play, as is leading club goal scorer John Bonavolia. Kick-off on Sunday is at the earlier time of 6 o'clock.
Police were called to the 80-kilometre zone on Carnley Avenue at Katara at around 4 this morning, where they found the female driver of this Nissan in shock after running into the pedestrian. The 22-year-old male had been walking across the road when he was hit by the vehicle and thrown onto the windscreen. Investigations are continuing, but police have confirmed the woman, in her early 20s, had not been drinking at the time of the accident. Meanwhile, an 18-year-old man is in a serious condition after the car he was driving crossed onto the wrong side of the road and slammed head-on into a power pole next to the Esplanade at Spears Point. The man and his 18-year-old female passenger, both from Windale, were trapped for around half an hour this morning, the male suffering head and chest injuries and his passenger damage to her back. Vanessa Spark, NBN News.
There is always plenty to choose from at races, but on this day there was only one true favourite, and that paraded around the enclosure in Tony Butterfield. The popular front rower is being honoured with a full program of testimonial functions this year, the first today at Newcastle Races.
It's a great honour. It hasn't hit me yet, but for the last 5 or 6 years I was going to retire. Who knows, I still may not. No, I'm definitely going to retire.
In a big field of starters, Butterfield was joined by family and friends, including former and current teammates, in a day geared more for fun than formality.
Just giving themselves a chance to kick back and relax in the new millennium, and we'll have a bit of fun.
Butterfield took a punt back in 1988 to join the Knights in a gamble that's still paying dividends. Now the last of those originals, Butts just wants to enjoy his last season.
When I came up here 13 years ago, I arrived in a multicoloured combi van and I was going nowhere fast. But to be here is due to the support and strength of a lot of friends and family.
Proving he's a champion stayer in the world of rugby league, it was ironic that the Tony Butterfield New Year Cup was a sprint over just 1,200 metres. So tight, the judge declared it a dead heat, unable to separate Krivak and Sullison Ladd. Breakers players soaked up their 7-game unbeaten streak today, but it's hard to see the rest lasting long, considering Coach Lee Sterry's thoughts of last night's match.
Talking to a few of the boys just then, they feel flat, no reason. We were terrible in intensity. At the end of the day, thank God for the first minute.
But what a start it was. A Glenn Sprod corner sent United scrambling, with defender Glenn Moore pouncing on a rare chance to score. From there it was a night of missed chances, with the Breakers pressuring but just not finding the back of the net. They did score on the booking sheet. Andy Harper yellow-carded after this on keeper Stephen Tolowisi. That seemed to fire the United glove man up, with 2 great saves to deny Newcastle again. In fact, if it wasn't for Tolowisi in the second half, United could have faced a real thrashing. Vasco Traszewski got one of his own when involved in this incident. The midfielder even booked for his trouble. Things brightened up in injury time with 2 John Bonavolia chances, bringing the crowd to their feet for all the right reasons. Incredibly, he found either post on both occasions. Newcastle finishing 1-0 winners.
When you play bad, you get over the line, you get 3 points, you've got to be happy with that, but outside of that, I'm not happy at all.
In that frame of mind, it's hard to see the Breakers leaving little to chance in preparation this week for Sydney Olympic.
After washing out the final of round 2 in Lismore the night before, Mother Nature again played a part in round 3, recent rain making the Gosford Showground surface challenging. But the international field was up to the task, with Newcastle's Todd Wiltshire and Perth's Stephen Johnston among the early pace setters. Victorian Lee Adams also showed he wouldn't settle for second best, winning this heat and qualifying for the final. The most successful rider in the history of the series, he went on to add another round victory to his already considerable collection, with teammate Johnston second and Californian Billy Hamill third. Todd Wiltshire finished 4th, a position he'll no doubt be looking to better at Newcastle Speedway tonight.
Graffiti is like a pox on Hunter businesses, and the Newcastle Lord Mayor has strong views about it.
Graffiti is something the community shouldn't have to put up with.
The Premier has written to 75 mayors across the state asking their councils to supervise community service orders for up to 66,000 hours of graffiti cleaning.
His initiative about using young offenders to clean graffiti off is not new, but I'm pleased that he's endorsing it. In fact, Newcastle Council staff have already spoken to Warramai staff about this.
Newcastle Council will also be involved in the trial of 2 graffiti blaster soda machines next month. Cessnock and Maitland councils also support the Premier's plan, while Lake Macquarie Council has been compiling its own report on the graffiti problem, and the Premier's plan will be added to it. David McElwain, NBN News.